The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. You are tuned into Inspire FM 105.1 FM. It's Friday, 3rd of March, and the time is now 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I'm your host, Neelam, and in today's show, I'll be talking about the rise in the cost of living. A much needed topic and a topic I'm sure many of us are facing. Now, listeners, I just wanted to make everyone aware that today's show is actually being aired as a pre-record. So unfortunately, I won't be taking any messages or be able to respond to any messages. But if you do have any questions or any suggestions or tips around today's topic, please do email the team at info@inspirefm.org, and you can make it for the attention of Mother's Planet, and inshallah I will do my best to respond. The show is still accessible via TuneIn through the Inspire FM webpage, and also via the Inspire FM Facebook page as an audio, where you can leave comments or any questions on there, and again I will do my best to respond to you that way as well. We also have the Inspire FM app, which is now downloadable on your phone, on your smartphones, and the show can also be heard via your phone, so you can actually listen to us from wherever in the world you are. Now, in today's show, as I mentioned, I'll be talking about the cost of living. In recent months, UK has been hit by the rising costs in our everyday essential items such as food, energy around the house, transport, and housing. And this cost of living is actually affecting many people in a number of ways and in different ways as well. So people are having to rethink about the way they spend their money, and especially when it comes to buying essential items. As a result, the UK is facing an all-time high in poverty, and people are struggling to cope not only with just putting food on the table and keeping the house warm, but also with their own mental well-being. It's an emotional time for many, where people are having to make compromises and sacrifices, and I personally myself hate going shopping at the moment. Every time I do go, there's a price rise in an essential item, and there's either a shortage of something or the price has gone up significantly, and it's making it quite miserable to shop, because, you know, when you set aside a budget of how much you want to spend in your shop, and then you go into the supermarket with that budget in mind and you've got to spend a lot more, it doesn't make the shopping experience very nice. So shopping was always my hobby, and I really enjoyed doing it. Browsing and looking at deals or new items that have come into the store, but now my shopping experience is quite dull. I just go in, grab the essentials and rush out. The enjoyment of my shopping experience has been taken away, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure many people across the country are facing a very similar dilemma, and have probably, you know, moved to shopping online so they don't have to see the supermarkets, the empty shelves. So yes, I think a lot of people are finding different ways of shopping and just using it as a job rather than someone like myself who used it as an enjoyment. So I've been doing some research around today's topic and been speaking to many people, friends, family, people on my street, general public, and just getting some idea of how people are trying to get through this difficult time without breaking the bank balance, and things that they're doing to help keep their mental state at bay. Because I guess in all of this, that's one of the key things we've got to consider, how we are coping with our mental well-being as well. This is just a period of time, and it's just something that we're going to have to see through for this time. I know it's not forever. We've had fuel price increase, shortage, where the petrol stations and the queues for the petrol stations were horrendous and everyone was panicking. But now you can quite leisurely go into a petrol station and not think twice about how or where the petrol's coming from. And so these things do pass, and it is just a stage, but it's how we cope with it. And I think the essential advice that I can give here is don't panic. It's just a phase, and we've just got to ride this time through and look for alternatives. And so I am going to be sharing some some suggestions and tips and ideas on this. So grab a pen and make some notes. Some may be applicable to you, and there are some that may not be applicable to everyone as well. But these are suggestions that have been made from the market research that I've done around this topic. So have a pen to hand and inshallah jot down some ideas that may help you and your family. Now, I wanted to start with, I'm going to break it down into the essential living items that have increased. So one of the ones, which is the essential one for me, is food. And food prices. Now, I wanted to start with food because, firstly, because of the scare of tomato shortages that everyone is seeing across the town. Lots of supermarkets are having empty shelves because crops aren't growing in the hotter countries because they haven't had the weather that we're usually used to. And so it's people going back to stockpiling, although I find it very hard, and I'm very curious to know how people would stockpile on tomatoes, because it's quite a fluid item. It's not something that you can stock up and store on your shelves. After a week of it being out, it does often mold or give up on us. So I don't see how tomatoes can ever run short, because I don't think people would be really stockpiling on them. But it's taken me back to when we were in the pandemic and people were stockpiling on essential items like toilet paper, because they were led to believe that there was a shortage. So we're sort of reliving this journey again, where we are being led to believe that there's going to be an immense shortage in our fruits and vegetables. So people are panic buying again. And it's interesting because not many people eat tomatoes. So, tomatoes is not a favored food. And so I have it in my salads, and that's the only thing I use tomatoes for. I don't like to roast them, steam them, or have them in the morning. I just like to have it chopped up in a salad. So that's the only way I eat my tomatoes. I buy the tin tomatoes for my cooking. So, if that's an alternative for now, if you are using fresh tomatoes in your cooking and you're finding it difficult to buy them or find them, you use the alternatives that we do have available, like the tin tomatoes. And just see the time through for the meantime with that. Now, the other advice I wanted to offer around food was shopping around for better deals. So especially when it comes to our supermarket shops, we have to be a bit more savvy with the way we spend our money. Now, I used to stick to a particular supermarket and just get everything from there, but having had the time and gone into other supermarkets and tried some of the fruits and vegetables and seen the price differences, I have actually gone to different supermarkets and picked different brands, alternative brands, and gone for that. And I do find there's a big difference, especially with my shopping budget in the week. So you can look at substitutes for big brands, and you'll actually be really surprised how some of the basic graded items actually taste better than the high-end branded items. So one of the ones I can say is baked beans. Go do the research yourself. If you are used to using top brand baked beans, try an alternative, and you'll be surprised to see actually how there's very little difference. And there's a huge difference when it comes to the price. So look at different brands, give it a go. You don't have to bulk buy, just try it out, buy one or two items and see how the family take to it, and look for alternatives. So do shop around for better deals. And I know it involves, you have to then go to several supermarkets, but if you just say to yourself that I will get all my fruits and salads from here, and I'll get all my dairy from there, and I'll get my meat from here. If you actually plan your shopping, the experience will be much better, because you know what you're getting from each supermarket, and you would just go in and get those items, and realize that you've actually saved quite a lot of money as well. Buy your fruits and vegetables in bulk. So I don't think you can freeze tomatoes. But I do tend to buy a lot of my some of my vegetables. I have bought courgettes and onions and mushrooms, and frozen these, chopped them up and put them in freezer bags and frozen them. And then, you can use the amount that you need, and as much as you need as well, without the worry that it's going to go off. So I do highly recommend that you buy your own fresh vegetables and then just wash them, chop them up and freeze them as how you like, especially things like courgettes. I found that when I'm making a curry and I just want a small amount of courgettes just to bulk it up or give it a bit of flavor, I can just be picky and just pick some out of the freezer bag and then add it to the food, rather than having a fresh one in the fridge and feeling obliged to use the whole courgette. So yeah, one thing I would advise here is check which fruits and vegetables. I think fruits you can pretty much do even bananas you can freeze. And actually, frozen bananas is quite nice when it's mixed into milk. It's almost like a mini ice cream. So it's quite nice to have it that way. But be selective about some of the vegetables. And one I can speak from experience is cabbage. Don't freeze your cabbage, especially the red cabbage. I was under the illusion that that could be frozen, so I chopped it up and froze it. And when I took it out to defrost and eat it, you could smell this very strong, pungent, vinegary smell, and it was awful. So I had to throw it all away. So yeah, don't make the same mistake I did. Just check which vegetables you can. But things like mushrooms and even onions can be frozen. Chopped onions, especially if you're like myself that cooks curries pretty much every day, having chopped onions ready, frozen and ready to use, saves so much time with cooking as well, because it's all diced up and ready to go. You can chop up and freeze garlic as well, so buy garlic in bulk. You can use a little blitzer, mince the garlic, and ice cube trays. Just pop each little a heap of garlic in each garlic cube tray, wrap it up with cling film, freeze them. Once it's done, you can pop each cube out and then just pop it into a bag and then keep that in the freezer. And so you've got little cubes of garlic. So whenever you need to use it in your cooking, you've got a cube of garlic and you can add to your cooking this garlic. So yeah, garlic's a really good one to do, and it's really handy for when making a curry. And again, with the onions, it's really handy to make a quick omelette, and the mushrooms as well. So you've got onions and omelette there ready for onions and mushrooms there ready for your omelette. So that's my advice there. So yeah, buy and freeze as much as you can. Label them and be sure to date them, because often I think you have about a month, 4 to 6 weeks usage time to use that all up. I think it varies on the rating of the freezer. So again, do your research around how long you can store these for. Many supermarkets have loyalty cards, so use these loyalty cards or apps and use these to your benefit. So make use of your vouchers, points, coupons. Make these work for you when you are out shopping. Sometimes when you are shopping, they'll print little coupons out, save £18 or £10 off your next online shop if you spend over this much. So do use those coupons and do make use of them. Some supermarkets have also introduced post-lockdown an OAP shopping day where anyone over the age of 60 years old can actually get 10% off their shopping on fixed days of the week. So have a look around for signs on the supermarket windows, or just pop in and ask some of the supermarkets if they are running such days and what days these run. So that's good to know. 10% can go quite far when you've got a big shop to do. So maybe you can take your mum or dad with you and go and do a shop and save some money that way as well. My next suggestion is to bulk buy. Now, it's a bit of a contradiction because earlier on in the conversation, I was saying stop panic buying and bulk buying, and now I'm saying bulk buy. But in the concept of when it comes to storing items that have no shelf life, and things like kitchen towel and toilet paper, if you go to larger wholesalers and buy these things in bulk, perhaps you could split the cost with a family member. So, you know, if you go with your sibling, if you go with a friend and say, let's buy the kitchen paper in bulk, and we'll split the cost and split the supplies, so that it's making it lighter. But it does help, because buying these things at a wholesale price rather than going into the supermarket every week and topping up on your toilet paper and kitchen towel, you are actually saving money when you buy it in bulk. So do look out for deals like that, and I highly recommend them on the essential items that don't have expiry dates, like the toilet paper, kitchen towel, soaps and shampoos. If you see a good deal and you use these things regularly, it's good to stock up on them, and it'll just prevent you having to go out every month to go and buy these items because you have them. So make use of these offers and make your money go further. Also, as I mentioned, wholesalers and warehouses sell bulk buy items on tinned food, and again, these are better to buy and store as well. And as I said, share these with your family. You can split the cost, and it'll help and ease the overall cost of spending and shopping. The next advice around food is planning your meals. So if you have planned your meals, you know the kind of food that you will be needing, the kind of shopping that you'll need to go and do, and the food items that you'll need. So if you have these planned, you will buy food accordingly and minimize the waste of this food or fresh food going off. Knowing what you are cooking can also help you buy the food you need and not the food that you think you need. We always are under this illusion that we think, actually, if I buy this, maybe at some point in the week I might feel like making a ravioli or something, and we try and get a bit experimental, but it doesn't happen, and it just ends up molding in the fridge. But if you have planned your meals and you do have it written on your list for Wednesday, you're going to be making a vegetable casserole, then that's what you need to go and get vegetables to make that casserole. So it's just being a bit more organized and knowing what you need, and minimizing the things that we have that will potentially go to waste. Another one I wanted to recommend was buying a filter jug instead of bottled water. Now, while bottled water for some works because you need it to give to your children when they go to school, again, you can get those glass bottles which are fully safe to use. You can wash them out, refill them, and store water in them. And it's actually more better when it's stored in glass bottles than it is in the plastic bottles. So, you know, be wise about how we are providing water to our children when it comes to school. I understand that a lot of schools are quite strict with the type of bottles we send in. Glass, I know, is not accepted in schools because for the safety and hazard reasons around it. But you can get the metal bottles, which again keeps the water at a cool temperature as well, and is more efficient than having bottled water. So buy a filter jug. This will also excuse me, help you monitor how much water is actually being consumed. One of my pet hates about plastic bottles is if I have them in the house and my children will just come. I've actually got a system now where they have to label their names on the bottle so we know whose water bottle it is, so they have to finish it. Because unnamed bottles, I often end up feeding the plants. I try not to waste the bottle, but unnamed bottles or bottles that have been left out for too long, or you're not sure how long these water bottles have been left out for, tend to just go to watering my plants. So I'm not actually quite sure how much water we as a family are consuming. Whereas if you have a filter jug, you will see that you are filling up the water jug several times in the day and water is being consumed. So it's just a bit more better. I mean, the bottles are really good for when you're out the house. And again, it's a good thing to have because this will stop you from buying water or drinks when you're out because you've got your own bottled water with you. So you're saving money. So don't totally eliminate buying bottled water, but just think about it when you're in the house. An alternative way of doing that is having filtered water from these filtered jugs. And one of my favorite ones that I want to suggest is investing in a good air fryer. Now, my top advice around air fryers is please be careful with the way you are buying items online. There's a lot of scams going around with air fryers being sold at ridiculous amounts of prices. If you see something and it's really cheap, it often is, it's a scam. So just if it's too nice, it's a scam. Just don't fall for it. I've heard some horrific stories of people falling for these scams and ending up having their bank hacked and money being taken, not just a single transaction, but on several occasions. So please be mindful about where you are buying these. It's best to actually physically go into a shop and have a look at these items because they are quite expensive. And again, it's an essential item in the house. It's good to have a look at the options available, the size, the capacity that's going to suit you and your family, and the usage that you're going to make from it. My air fryer has been a godsend. I actually cannot remember the last time I fried anything in a wok full of oil. I know Ramadan's coming up, and we always stock up on the oil and the in the wok, but actually you can survive on an air fryer because you can even air fry samosas, spring rolls, the essentials that people like to eat during Ramadan. So I highly recommend an air fryer because it's just basically it's a compact oven that can cook the food in half the time an oven can. So you are essentially saving time, cooking time, and also saving energy on the usage of your oven. So you are actually saving money on your energy bills. And most and above all, it's actually cooking food in a healthy way because you don't need oil when you are air frying. You with the samosas and spring rolls, I've just brushed oil on them, kept the oil very minimum, and it's been fine, and the foods taste nice and crispy, and it tastes nicer when you know that it's not deep fried and you're just eating into oil. So yes, I highly recommend an air fryer because it's not only good for the time of it takes to cook food, and again, you can cook things from frozen. So if you have frozen fish, you can cook this from frozen. If you've marinated some chicken, wrap it up in foil, and again, you can put these in the air fryers and cook them from frozen, and your food it can be ready in less than an hour if it's cooked from frozen, depending on what type of meat it is that you are cooking. So yes, an air fryer all the way. And again, these come in different sizes and capacities. So see what works for your family, and what size would be beneficial for yourselves. Space in the kitchen is always a question for us women. So also think about the space in the kitchen. Some of them can be quite bulky, but there are some really compact ones there, and really good used ones. Now I'm conscious of the time because I know we are coming over to the adverts shortly, but I wanted to just throw out a few more advice around energy, saving energy. So energy is a huge one, especially with the rise in the energy bills. And one key thing is switch off the lights. Sometimes we flick on the lights and don't forget to turn them off, especially when we go into a room in the later part of the evening where we turn lights on, and we forget when we leave the room to turn those lights off. My recommendation and suggestion here is to use lamps. You can get lamps with energy saving bulbs. You can also get lamps that are connected to an internal Wi-Fi system, so you can turn them on and off from your phone. So if you're not home, you can have these lights go on and off, or you can, if you're upstairs and you forgot to turn a light off downstairs, you can probably do it from your phone as well. So yes, listeners, we are now heading over to a break. So that's the first quick tip that I've got in around energy. This is a pre-recorded show, and you are tuned into Mother's Planet. I am talking about the cost of living and the rise in prices and everything. I've been giving some tips and suggestions around things that we can do to help ease this difficult time. And I've talked about food and the ways that we can spend our money a bit more savvily, so that we are making savings on the way we spend. But for now, stay tuned. We're just off to a short commercial break. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Atif Nawaz. Listen to Inspire FM shows in your time by heading over to inspirefm.org or listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 3rd of March. You are tuned into Inspire FM 105.1 FM, and the time is now just gone 10:30. I'm your host Neelam, and today I am talking about ways of coping better with the cost of living. Things are going on the rise at the moment, and UK is facing one of its all-time highest, where things like essentials are being going up by the week. And so at the early part of the show, I talked about how we can help ourselves with food. So I'm hoping everyone jotted down some good notes around food. I moved over to energy now. Again, listeners, I just want to make you aware that this is a pre-record. So any questions or any suggestions you have around today's topic, please do email it into info@inspirefm.org and make it for the attention of Mother's Planet, or you can leave your comments and suggestions on the audio Facebook part of the show, and I will do my best to get back to anyone that has any questions around today's topic. So I've talked about food and the things we can do to make our money go further. Now I wanted to talk about energy, and I've talked about using lamps instead of main light switches, because this can minimize the cost, making sure we are turning lights off. I always say this and everyone's like, yeah, of course we do, but so many times I've come upstairs in my house and the lights are all on and the kids are downstairs in one room, and yeah, I do question why all the lights are on upstairs. So yes, make sure we are making our children aware of this as well. And one thing I didn't know, which actually I've learned, and in the night I find myself going around is doing now, is turning off plug switches. Now I was speaking to a well-known electrical company, and she was telling me that actually when you have a socket on, and even though you're not using the item, the fact that the switch is on, it's feeding electricity through that. So while the kettle might not be boiling, the kettle is feeding off electricity. While the phone is not charging, that charger is full of energy and is ready to charge. So if you've got appliances and things that you're not using, like kettles and toasters in the night while we sleep, turn them off, because this will stop any electrical supply and again reduce your energy bills. And yes, at night time we're not using any electrical things, so do try and be conscious of this and turn them off, and I'm sure you'll see a difference in your energy bills as well. Limit the use of hair dryers, as this takes up a lot of energy. Now, again, this is something I didn't know about after speaking to this particular lady. She mentioned to me that kettles and hair dryers are one of the worst. So hair dryers, you can limit this. And I have found that from I think these are readily available now. You can buy microfiber towels that absorb wet hair. So it's literally like a turban wrap that you put your hair into, and you can leave it on for about 10-15 minutes on wet hair, and the microfiber towel actually absorbs the wetness from the hair. So when you take the towel off, your hair is actually drier and it's not dripping wet. So once you let it air dry, it will dry. So if you are used to drying your hair with hair dryers, maybe you could try an alternative and a more environmentally friendly way of drying your hair, which is using this microfiber towel. Avoid flicking the kettle on and never actually making that cup of tea. Now, I'm truly guilty of this, because several times in the morning that kettle is flicked on and I never actually get around to making that cup of tea for myself. So I am guilty of this, and I do find myself not actually getting to drink that cup of tea until probably the end of the day when the kids have come back from school. So try using a thermos flask for this. Now, this is fantastic. You can boil the kettle, put the water in the thermos flask, and this is hot water in a thermos flask. And some of these thermoses can actually last up to 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours. So invest in a good one, because if you've got that water boiled and ready, whenever you feel like that cup of tea, you can just take the water from the thermos and pour it into your cup and have a tea at the right temperature. If you're like me, that doesn't like it piping hot, then you'll get on very well with the thermos. So yes, invest in a good one. Looking at purchasing a dehumidifier. If you haven't heard of this, this is basically a device that collects excessive water in the house, and they are very cheap to run. I think last time I read on one of them, it was about 7p an hour. And this prevents damp walls and wet windows around the house. So if you do have a lot of damp or moisture in the house, investing in a dehumidifier is a really good idea, because again, this will minimize the damp and the wetness and the coldness in the house as well. So again, you don't have to have the heating on so much. And one of my favorite things that the dehumidifiers do is actually, if you're like myself and the unpredictable weather that we're living in at the moment, and you dry clothes inside, I have drying racks that I set up at night, and I just stick on all the clothes that I've washed. The dehumidifier actually, if it's just around in the same room, actually speeds up the drying process for these clothes, because it's taking the moisture away from the air. So while you've got wet clothes on a drying rack and the air is getting filled with moisture, this dehumidifier is working super fast to help minimize the moisture in the air and dry those clothes a lot faster. So rather than those clothes staying on the rack for several days to dry, you can actually do it at a speed that's very suitable. So yes, look around for these again, because they vary in size and again in price as well. See how you can accommodate, but I highly recommend. They are very good and very efficient around the house as well. One thing, a lot of speaking to a lot of my friends, I found that people are turning their heating on, blasting it very high and letting the heat rise and the house heat up very quickly, and then after a couple of hours turning it off and saying, right, that's it, we're not going to have it on because we've had it on for a couple of hours and it's at 26 degrees and the house is warm. You're actually making your boiler work a lot harder by doing this. So an advice that was offered here is keeping your heat at a constant temperature. So invest in a thermostat, a really good thermostat, which is connected to your boiler, and fix the temperature of your home around 18 to 20 degrees. Now, place this thermostat in a well-placed area in the house. Don't place it near a window. Don't place it near the cold areas of your house, because if you do stick it to 18 to 20 degrees and the thermostat always reads 15, then again your boiler is just continuously going to be working hard to try and get the house up to even 18 degrees because you've misplaced it. So be mindful about where you put your thermostat. I always find that the hallway is quite good because it's warm. There's not much draft coming in there from anywhere. So I keep my thermostat there, and I do keep it set to 18 to 20 degrees, and it just keeps the house at that constant temperature, and the heating's not on all day. It will literally come on and probably be on for about half an hour and then flick off. And then if it drops any lower than 18, it'll come on, flick on for about 20 minutes and drop off again. And actually that's keeping the boiler better as well running, and it's also much better on your energy because you're not allowing your boiler to work super hard to really heat up and heat the house. So my advice would be to just invest in a thermostat and set it at a 18 to 20 degrees is the recommended temperature in the current climate that we are having, although I find that it's getting a little bit colder nowadays. So yes, that's one of the things that you can do there. And it won't take it won't take that much long for the house to heat up because it's always at a constant temperature. Another one is run your wash loads in the night, as the energy cost is much cheaper. So again, you are saving money. I do find that I just so happen to be washing my washing at night because I forget to do it during the day. I have the clothes in the washing machine, but I have actually found just from reading on the smart meters that you'll even notice it yourself that it's more efficient to run in the evening than it is during the day. And as I mentioned before, air drying clothes on drying racks outside, if it's anything like what the weather's been like, it's very difficult to be drying clothes outside. But for the moments of sunshine that we do have, if you have a drying rack, you can stick the clothes outside for just to let them air dry a little bit and then bring them in. And again, that will speed up the drying process. So if you avoid using your tumble dryer, try and make your money work better for you, and alternative ways of drying our clothes as well. Fuel for the car. This is a key one, and when I read this one, it made me laugh because I thought if everyone acted on this, I think it would make driving so much nicer in the town. But yes, drive sensibly. Essentially, if you want to save fuel on your car, what you have to do is drive sensibly. Driving at a constant speed rather than accelerating and speeding and then slowing down and then doing the same and getting your car to work much more. It's very similar to how we are with our boiler. You will be using less fuel. So if you drive at a constant speed and have less road rage and overtaking cars, speeding, just if you drove sensibly, you'd actually have less visits to the petrol station. So yeah, that's all I can advise there. Just drive sensibly, and you'll find that the fuel of your car is going further, and the roads are nicer to drive on as well. So yeah, there we go. Sit tight and hold on to whatever plan you are on with your energy providing dealer. It's really important, the next point, that people are not panicking and trying to fix their energy bills right now, because you could be fixing it at a rate that's horrendous, and then you're committed for the next couple of years for that. So sit tight and just hold on, because things will change. I believe after April, things are going to change even more. And the financial situation, I'm told that this is only up until next year, until everything starts coming back to a steady again, and then everything will be cheap again. So let's hope. But yes, just be mindful of your energy bill providers at the moment. Don't fix or commit into anything. Car share wherever you can. If you are traveling to the same place of work and you live near colleagues, maybe perhaps you could drive to each other's homes and just jump into one car and take turns of who drives into work and car share. So again, you're reducing the petrol usage, fuel of your car, and car sharing is again keeping less flow of traffic out on the roads as well. Draft excluders, use them everywhere and anywhere possible in the home. I always have a window open in my bathrooms, and so there's always a little bit of draft coming through the doors. So I invested in a draft excluder, and this is just like a fat strip that slides under the door, and it sits tight under the door rim, and when you close the door, it just stops any cold air from coming out of the door, so you don't feel it when you're standing in the hallway or outside the toilet door. And actually this has worked. I found that I have a toilet downstairs in my hallway, and that used to let a lot of draft in and out, and putting one of those excluders there, I found that actually there's minimum cold air, and it's actually quite warm. So they do work. And so yeah, stick them wherever you can. You can get ones that you can put around window rims as well. So if you have a window that lets a lot of draft in, you can get these little silicone tape things that you can just stick around windows. So again, making yourself lose less heat. There was too many L's there. Lose less heat in your home. So if you are warming it up, you have this protection in the home, you're losing less heat, and it will keep your house nice and warm for you. So invest in some good ones. Now for your mental well-being, I wanted to talk about things that people have tried to do now. One of the ones that I find has really helped me, and I must try and share these on the Facebook pages, is painting. And it's not me painting freehand pictures, but it's number painting. I really thoroughly enjoy number painting, and you get given a fixed number of paint palettes, so you've got 1 to 9. They're all varying in different colors, and then you get given a picture of your choice that you can buy. So you can buy them of a monumental place. I'm currently working on one which is my memory of Paris, which is the Eiffel Tower. I had a very good time with my family out in Paris, so when I saw a painting of it, and I thought, if I can put this together myself, it will be more significant and have more value to it as well. So I purchased it, and I am currently working on it, but it's really relaxing. And I do find that everyone says to me it's very fine and they're very small dots. How do you have the patience? But actually just painting like that takes me to another place, and I forget where I am. And when you're actually doing it so close up, you can't see how much progress you've made in your painting. But when you sit back and you hold it at a distance and you see your picture, you can actually see that you've done quite well, and it's looking really nice. So it's quite rewarding to see. I have one on my hallway up already, and I'm working on this one. So I do recommend that find a hobby that you are interested in. The other one that Sister Shemiza introduced us all to in lockdown was the embroidery rings, making a pattern and just sitting down and doing some sewing, just something mindfulness where it's keeping your mind at bay. And I think as mothers, it's really important that we allow ourselves to have this time. I love coming on the radio and talking and speaking with you all, and connecting with my listeners, because this is something I enjoy doing. So this is my hobby as such. But find an outlet that you enjoy, something that you enjoy doing, and and engage in it and do it, because as mothers we are guilty of not giving ourselves that time, and it can be an awful time, while our husbands are working super hard to keep the money afloat, and there are women out there that are doing the same and then running homes at the same time as well. You need to have an outlet. You need to have something that you can just say, this is for me. I'm taking that time out and I'm doing this. One of the ones that a lot of people on my street have started to do is going for regular walks. And I keep reminding myself about this one because I'm guilty of this. I don't walk enough, and I keep saying to myself, I must and I should. But I don't walk enough, and I think it's really good for going out and walking and clearing our minds and refreshing our thoughts. And you can do it with friends. Often we like to meet up with our friends, see what everyone's doing, how everyone is, and we're trying to look of ways of meeting each other. But actually, what we can do is ask a friend to meet us in a park and go for a walk, sit down and have a coffee from your thermos flask, all these energy saving ideas that you could do. So, you don't have to spend money to be enjoying yourselves, and you don't always have to be eating out as well. So, the weather is hopefully picking up, inshallah, and with Ramadan around the corner, we need to sort of train ourselves to not keep our mind focused on cooking and cleaning and the food. We need to keep our minds focused on other things other than that. So, our physical fitness, our mental well-being. So going for walks with friends is a key one, is one that I highly recommend. And we don't have to always meet up at the homes. So you can meet up at the home and then go for a walk. You don't have to be sitting down. And another one is a spiritual connection. I'm always big on this, and I like to remind ourselves, especially with Ramadan coming up so near, that we need to connect spiritually, and we need to work hard to connect spiritually as well. It's really important that you do that as well. So they're my tips there on all the essential items that we have faced during this lockdown time and the difficulties that we are all facing as well. And I hope that listeners have found what I have shared this morning of benefit, and you've managed to take some notes. I wanted to mention an event that is taking place this weekend, and this is a sisters only event. So there you go, sisters. If you are finding it hard to take time out for yourself or do something for yourself, maybe this is an event that you'd like to take part in. So it's being held this Saturday, 4th of March at Crescent Hall in Bury Park, Dunstable Road. The postcode is LU1 1EF. The event is run by Masjid Noor, and it's an event specifically run for sisters and children under the age of 10 only. There'll be many charity stalls set up, and there is also some parking available as well. All the proceeds and donations will be going towards the disaster of Turkey and Syria appeal. So any money that is raised will all be going towards a good cause. But again, it's an opportunity for sisters to get together and connect and have their children have a good time as well. So do look out for that event that's happening this weekend. I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in this morning and listening into the show. Again, if there is any questions around today's topic or any ideas that you have, then please do share it with me. Now, I wanted to end with an inspiration quote for today, and it's actually something that I had set aside, which is from the Quran, because it's very important for us to remember that with every hardship there is ease, and so we must remember that although we are facing a very difficult time with the cost of living and things on the rise and everything price, within this hardship there will be ease after it as well. So hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. So despite everything that we are facing right now, there is hope. So Jummah Mubarak to all the listeners, and thank you again for tuning in. I hope that my suggestions will be of benefit to you all. I leave you with a very short nasheed that is in link with this topic that I've discussed today. It's a new one by Khalid Sadiq, and it's all about the cost of living, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Jummah Mubarak, and thank you for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum.
The cost of living in the UK is rising, and it's changing people's lives.
At the moment, I'm not putting my lights on in the evening once it gets dark.
I go to bed night trying and I wake up the same.
Bad things really are. I've got 20p to my name.
I don't even know how am I going to survive for this winter coming.
Cost of living going up, gotta bring expenses down. Tory, they don't give a what. Look how we living now. Second that I pay the bills, swear they coming back around. Kids at school without no meals, government still lacking now. Open up my fridge and I don't know what I'ma eat. Yeah, plus I got 3 babies, I don't know what I'ma feed. I've been pulling on my lace and trying to get back up on my feet. Man, if I these politicians, I don't know how I would sleep. Got these babies in my door, I'm trying not to make a peep. Don't wanna be ungrateful, know there's plenty on the street. But these benefits ain't benefiting me, no I can't see. How I'm supposed to raise my family when they keep on cutting peas. All over bread, couple things I pray I make it through the week. And them kids are going back to school, them shoes, no, they ain't cheap. And them kids, they ain't good bully my baby like how they bullied me. I'm a grind to make this beat, even if that means they treating us like animals. You see up in the cage, they just wanna increase inflation, they don't wanna increase the wage. Ukraine and Russia beefing, what's that gonna do with me? Now my bills are doubling up and what they expect me just to pay. Now the winter's coming close, you know I'm trying to keep that heat in. Put 2 hoodies on cause you know I can't touch the heat in. The pressure keeps on creeping, I ain't got no time for healing. They giving us these leaders with no motion or no feeling. And these kids are going to school without no meals, now that ain't right. Then they learn to rob and steal cause they just trying to survive. Depression and the poverty is walking on the line. My subhanAllah is wild, it's looking like the end of times. At my home I'm trying to find, but I'm out here on the streets. 300k without a home, well life is getting big. Man forget about using up and there's no house for them to heat. No support that they can see, no community to reach.
I've not had anything
And that's the cost of living.
That's
the cost of
Working
living.
hard. If we're struggling, how the hell are other people
Can't be a
coping?
breaking point because I've got 3 children to
It's
look after.
demoralising. It's disheartening because I'm trying my best and there's only so much I can do.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.